Wow, welcome back to the Mark and Me podcast.
Hey, how are you?
I'm really well. It's great to see you again, and I think we were just saying off air. I think it's been nearly 2 years, so it
Yeah.
doesn't feel that long, really.
No, no, it's just a blur of chaos that's happened in those years, and here we are again.
What I wanted to
Bit
do
of
this time,
tranquility.
yeah, I was going to say, here we go. What I want to do this time round, obviously, last time we were talking about your last album and touring, but I wanted to change the focus a little bit and talk a lot more about TV, film, theatre, all that kind of world, because all the interviews you do and I read about are very music based, which is understandable. But with the announcement of War of the Worlds, which we'll get into, I did want to take it back and talk to you about your first early memories of watching films and TV and those passionate, moments you had maybe in cinema that made you fall in love with the world of theatre and TV and film.
Wow. How far back
I,
does
I want
one
to, I,
go?
I want to, I'm an 80s
Yeah,
kid, so I like to talk about, literally seeing stuff like E.T. for the first time or those real
yeah.
early, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the cinema.
Oh my God, wow. Well, I remember seeing E.T. for the first time because I was petrified.
Yeah,
I
me too.
I hated the little bastard. And yeah, which was weird because my uncle, his nickname for me was ET, because this is already going off on a massive
I
tangent.
love how we've started
But
today already.
when I was born, I like had some like complications, and I came out like blue. I think
Oh
I'd
God.
swallowed too much of the birthing fluid, and I was like choking effectively. And apparently, I looked like ET, and so he was.
Wow.
So that stuck. But then he became my nemesis, because I was like absolutely petrified. I remember like being behind the family sofa, being forced to watch that.
Yeah,
But,
my parents thought it
yeah.
was a good idea. I must have been, I don't know, like 5 or 6, and they bought me like a life-size plush of ET and kept it in my bedroom, and I wouldn't sleep. I was like, I need
Amazing.
the light on. Like, that
Oh
isn't
my
nice.
God.
Even though in the film he's this lovely, lovable
Yeah,
character,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
I shit myself. I was terrified. I- so apart from ET and the trauma and you having a nickname for having a really traumatic birth, to follow that, what were your kind of first films that you loved or actors that made you basically
Um,
think this is awesome?
to be honest, I've never been a massive like I'm shit with like actors' names and like
Yeah.
remembering things like that. I've never been like a massive film buff or whatever. But I had a fair DVD collection back, well, VHS collection if we're going back that far. Um, I remember The Mask being one that just like really struck me as a kid, and rewatching that a million times. I think comedy was the first thing that grabbed me, like, everything from like Happy Gilmore, um, and yeah, all sorts. But then also like the kind of real family, heartwarming
Yeah.
stuff like Homeward Bound and things like that. Yeah, and then I suppose, growing up and my DVD collection was more like Lock, Stock and Snatch. I
The
remember
proper
that.
college and uni films. Kill Bill,
Yeah,
Lock, Stock, Snatch.
yeah, all those kind of things. But yeah, I think like Rob, our drummer, he was like the real film
Was it the
guy.
film
Like
nerd?
his brother, I can't remember exactly what he studied, but it was something within film, and so he kind of inherited a lot of his views, kind of snooty views of like film, and kind of all media, I suppose. But yeah, so I got a lot of my recommendations down from him as well. Like, I think also like documentaries,
Yeah.
or like more slightly non-fiction based stuff. I remember like seeing Waking Life for the first time and that blowing my mind, and um, that first Zeitgeist documentary as well.
Oh
And
God, yeah.
yeah, there. I mean, stuff like that was all like quite formative, I think, even for like what we were to later do in the band. Um, but yeah, so I'm sure there'll be loads that come to me as soon as I
About
hang up
four
on
o'clock
this
this
call. Oh,
afternoon, you'll
that
be like,
film,
Indiana
that was my
Jones.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reason
But
I wanted to go down this route is obviously I've talked to you before about your favorite albums growing up and what influenced you to start Enter Shikari and go on that kind of like journey. But with the announcement of War of the Worlds, I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh my God, like this casting is insane. Like I've seen your shows, I've seen the production. I remember Slam Dunk thinking this is more of more than just a gig, the spectacle and the visuals of you going into the water and everything. I started to feel like it was more theatrical.
mm,
And it made me
yeah,
realize watching your music videos that you were more than just a songwriter, you were more than just wanting to perform. You had so much thought and time and effort that gone into the visuals. Something must have influenced you. And I wondered if it was
yeah.
TV or films or theatre or what it was, because when I go to an Enter Shikari show now, I think the visuals are just as important now as the actual music.
Yeah, it's always been something that we've. It's weird because like growing up as within a hardcore punk scene, there was a lot of like purity involved in that, and as
Yeah,
well within like metal as well. A lot of alternative genres, a lot of like you have to stick to these like quite narrow confines. Um, but like we just always loved theatre and weren't afraid to use theatrics. Maybe it was like bands like Muse,
yeah,
real like big stadium stuff who weren't afraid to do like all sorts of crazy production. Maybe having seen stuff like that and like, oh, okay, so it can be acceptable. And I suppose, to a certain extent, like production has been a huge part of, you look at your sort of legacy metal and rock stuff. There's always been production, huge production elements. Um, but yeah, I suppose within the genres that we were more influenced by, it was a little more like that's not really our world. So for some reason, yeah, we decided that we wanted that to be part of our world. Uh,
but so much
like,
thought and time's gone into it. I know it's something that
mm,
you're hands-on in. You're really personal. You do it. I've seen you setting it up on Instagram on your own laptop. You're sitting there working away of how the lights are going to be. It means so much to you. Some people I absolutely adore them, but I went to see Sleep Token. It was unbelievable. I was blown away. But they have a whole production team doing all that behind the scenes, where it feels like it's so personal to you how it should feel and how it should look. And I'm sure you must have changed so much of your show throughout time and evolved to get it right.
yes, we're absolute sticklers for every part of the show. Really, we must be quite hard to work with because it's constantly changing. And we're like Rory basically is the visuals guy now. He does all our visuals where I've done it in the past, but he's the last few years he's done all sorts of courses and learned all sorts of different types of software and things. So, but then the lighting, yeah, is very much, I'll go up to we've got like a warehouse up in Lincoln with our lighting team that work up there, and yeah, we'll be involved in every aspect of it and kind of directing the whole show. For me, I think it's just strange that you would let go of the reins as soon as it stops becoming music and it becomes the
Yeah,
other, sensations that you're affecting with your live show. Yeah, for me, it's like someone playing the guitar on your track. Why
yeah,
would that be happening? This is your vision, right? So, but the music has always been very diverse, very takes you on journeys. And so therefore I think it's pivotal that we create the right atmosphere,
yeah.
um, and we enable an atmosphere to shift by using the lighting, by using the production, and whatever other techniques that we pick up. Yeah.
So because you've had this experience, especially with, the Wembley Arena show, which was huge, the production of that was, the biggest to date for you guys. Do you feel that's given you an advantage and kind of taken a little bit of the pressure off then when you accepted doing War of the Worlds? Because I was blown away. I got to interview Jeff Wayne. He was in his studio and I talked to him about you. And the first thing he said to me was, I absolutely am a huge fan of Enter Shikari. And my kind of jaw hit the floor. I was like, no
Mm.
disrespect to you guys, but I didn't expect for him to say to me, I listen to Enter Shikari and I love these guys. And I was like, oh wow, like this changes everything. So do you feel because you've had that experience, because you've been in these arenas, because you've performed on such a kind of level, it made that decision to accept this role a little bit easier?
I think so, and I think it would have been different if it was like more of a West End show,
Yeah,
because that would have felt like just one step possibly too far outside of my kind of realm.
yeah,
Whereas, this tour is going to be on playing a lot of the venues that we've played, either supporting other bands or ourselves on arena tours. So it feels like, okay, well, at least the spaces I know, even if like, the actual performance is quite different. Um, yeah, it feels like I had some standing in it. But it was still very much a shock for me too, and it was still very much I remember when he literally asked me, and I was just like took a deep breath, and I just didn't really know what to say. It wasn't like I snatched his hand off because I was
no.
terrified. I my parents all well, my brother actually more than anyone, but my parents as well always said that they thought I'd be an actor because I was always just like making silly sketch shows on the family camcorder and just like always acting and
So
playing
there it
silly
is. That's what
characters.
started it.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
ET at all. It's you wanting to be Spielberg.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so they're like, oh no, this makes total sense. Yeah, and I think it was probably their encouragement that made me sort of grow the confidence to accept the part. But no, it was certainly a shock.
So I take it you went and visited Jeff Wayne in his studio. He told you about the
Mm.
production, talked to you about the whole process, and I'm quite surprised, you didn't just say, "Yeah, I want to do it," because it's such a huge opportunity, but then the logistics of kind of putting Enter Shikari on hold and pause for
Yeah,
months on end, being away from home. It's a different type of tour schedule. The production every night is completely different. The rehearsal process is different. So was it kind of a real tough decision to kind of balance everything and make sure it's right for you?
yeah, and it's already like it certainly impacted me because like we've got an Australia tour next week. Um, and we got offered that after I accepted War of the Worlds, and it sort of it ran right into the whole period of time that was put aside for my rehearsals. So we had to go back to Jeff and to the team and say like, okay, can we move our rehearsals into what is now going to be the most intense like 2 week period right before the tour,
Oh God.
just like full long days, and they were like very reluctant, and rightly so, I think. But
Yeah.
we've managed to sort of like work it out. But it's gonna be horrendous. I think getting back with all the jet lag from Australia, and I literally land and go straight into the first rehearsal that day, so it's
Oh
gonna be
God.
quite a challenge. Um, but yeah, I think we're all very supportive of each other, the lads in Shikari. So and Rob especially is a massive H.G. Wells fan, massive
Yeah.
Jeff Wayne fan. So he was just like, "Oh my God, I'm so jealous, but of course you're doing this."
Get
Like,
me apart. Yeah.
yeah, yes. Um, so yeah, they've all been really supportive, and we've been able to not take too much time off the road. So it's basically the first 6 months of this year are pretty mad for me. It's non-stop, but hopefully they slow down in the summer and catch my breath.
Has War of the Worlds always been a big part of your life? Because growing up, I remember my dad having the double CD. I sound like a granddad now, and people are like, listen to these two granddads. But it was on
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
house, and I was always blown away. I'd never heard anything like it. The scale of it, while the incredible dialogue's going on. I was taken on this journey, and I was only a kid, so I didn't understand and have all the knowledge now of how it all works and the production, the studio, and the sound and the separate vocal takes and everything. But I was just taken on this journey that I didn't even need the visuals. I was just like, this is incredible. And my mom was telling me like when it came out, people were pulling over on the side of the road because they thought it was real as the radio broadcast and stuff. And I was like, it blows my mind. But I didn't know. Have you been a massive fan of War of the Worlds, or was it something that's only recently come into your life because of this?
Um, well, I certainly was aware of it growing up. Like my uncle, he was just a massive like music fan, really, like especially like prog and stuff. So he had the double album, and I remember him introducing me to it and being terrified really as a 7 year old.
Yeah.
Um, but my dad had a copy as well. And yeah, so I remember listening to it quite a lot. Like every few years I come back to it as a kid and stuff. And then I kind of when I discovered you sort of properly discovered H.G. Wells and read some of his not just fiction but non-fiction as well as a kind of early 20s-y old. That was probably when I rediscovered War of the
Yeah.
Worlds and read it again and gleaned so much more from it. Um, but yeah, since then, it hasn't, it's not been in my life really. But it was great to have those like early experiences and feel like I knew the story, I knew Jeff's incredible music, and so it was like it wasn't like stepping into a whole new universe. It was something that I had some footing in.
What was amazing is prior to the interview, I just listened to it again, fresh. So I was
Mm.
like, I really wanted to be ready for Jeff. And I'm not just saying this, it sounds literally like it could have been recorded yesterday. It sounds
Mhm.
timeless, and the
Mm.
production, the scale of everything blows my mind. So to go and see it in an arena, I don't know much because I want to kind of go in and be blown away. But he's told me about certain parts of the production and the size of certain things that are going to happen above everyone and stuff. And I'm like, I'm getting excited. So I can't even imagine what it's like for you, knowing that you get to be such a huge part of this, go on tour
Mm.
every night, and kind of add your own part to it. You could have complete fresh take of this character and take what you want to it.
Yeah, yeah. Like firstly on the music, like I think it's just a testament to how progressive it was. To
Yeah,
have all these like this broad palette of instrumentation, go through all these styles, and then as you say, to be able to listen to it now and it still sounds quite current, it still sounds timeless. And as well, like, I think it's easy to concentrate on the breadth of instrumentation and like emotions within the music, but also the melodies and the
yeah.
harmonies. They're just absolutely timeless.
And the
Um,
earworm, like even just
mm,
like that will stay in my head
yeah,
literally
yeah,
all
yeah,
day. I'm like, oh damn it, like, but it's
yeah,
it's unbelievable. You only have to hear those opening few chords, and instantly you're like, oh, it takes somebody back to somewhere where they've heard it. It's that big for
yeah.
everybody.
But yeah, for me as well, like some of the more like down tempo, like thoughtful tracks or whatever, like Life Begins Again, for
Yeah,
instance, that is
unbelievable.
like I don't know, it's like it's like for me, it's like up there with like the Beatles. It's just like such a staple of like music,
It
and the
is.
history of music, in those melodies and harmonies. So yeah, it in my mind, it's yeah, it's huge. And then, as you say, the production is going to be super interesting. I haven't seen the show myself before. I
No,
haven't started rehearsals yet, so I'm only going on like the few snippets of information that I've heard. But yeah, it's going to be a brilliant production, and I feel like I'm going to learn so much just from that side of it. Um, but yeah, to be able to be on the tour and watch the thing night in night out, yeah, it's going to be great.
I know obviously with what you've said today about having to go to Australia, kind of squeeze a lot of the rehearsal time into a shorter space of time, but knowing all the dialogue you need to learn, how confident are you with this challenge? Because I don't know you very well. I've met you a few times. We've been on the podcast, but I feel like part of you in your life is that you want to always put yourself on the edge of a comfort zone. I feel like
Mm.
you don't want to just play it safe. I think there's always a challenge in with you, and I think surely going into this feels like a challenge, but also a great, great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, it's not really in my nature to be at the edge of my comfort zone. I like comfort, I'm not great in a lot of situations. I get anxiety a lot. Um, but I know how important it is, just for not just like your life enjoyment, but like the progression of yourself, of your character, of your soul, to push yourself. So, you know, and but all within your means and all within with a keen eye also on like self-love and all that kind of stuff.
Of course, yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, so it's something that I, as I say, I didn't jump to. I toiled over for quite a while. My biggest fear is just forgetting dialogue.
Yeah.
Um, like sort of freezing on stage, and
Because it's not
looking.
song lyrics, is it? It's not like a song you've sung every night for sometimes
No,
in your case 20 years. It's
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
certain
exactly.
I'm not trying to scare you now and make you anxious and then now you pull out because I've done an interview, but it is literally all about timing, the delivery of this dialogue and
Yeah,
getting everything right. I'm sure into the tour it'll come like you'll think, I can't believe I used to worry about this, but
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm already feeling that. Like, I remember when I first got the script and I was flicking through it, and I was like, "This is all mine. This is all."
is this not the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, it's like this weighty tome. Yeah, I mean so I've got one song, and even that's about fucking 12 minutes long. So there's a lot of verses in that to remember. Um, but then, yeah, for me, it's the actual dialogue that's the scary thing. But
Yeah.
I've pretty much committed it all to memory. I wanted to basically, as soon as I said yes, I just started learning it because I just have to be prepared for these kind of things. Because I think as well with like not being confident in this, not having experience in this world, like that's the kind of thing that would definitely trigger my
Yeah.
anxiety to go through the roof. And then when that's through the roof, you stop sleeping, your memory starts to go, and it's just a recipe for disaster.
It's a
So
downward
yeah,
spiral, isn't it?
yeah. So I'm already feeling like so much more confident than I did when I accepted it. And I think that's it. I literally just go through a recital every day and just keep fucking bludgeoning it in there. But yeah,
You
it's
might get a massive taste for it, Rao. You might be like, I want to just do loads more acting after this. You might
I
literally be
have
like,
yeah. I'm really intrigued to for actual proper rehearsals to start because I'm not still not sure how I'll take that, but I'm enjoying learning it and I'm enjoying performing it and I'm enjoying thinking about the character and how I can perform lines and the subtleties of it all. Like I love the detail of everything. Within music and songwriting, producing, and I feel like I can bring a lot of that to acting, which just feels weird saying that, but yeah,
it all
looking
it
forward to it.
all makes sense. And because you're creative and because you're a performer, it does go hand in hand, even though you may have not done it before on this level. But I think also after this production is all wrapped up, and I know we're only talking about starting it in rehearsal, but when it's all done, you'll have a whole new experience that then you can bring to Enter Shikari.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I'm going to learn so much from Jeff first
Yeah.
of all, in terms of just bringing a vision together. But that the production is going to be really inspiring, I'm sure. Um, yeah, no, I think there's going to be loads I'm going to get out of it really.
You're going to benefit, aren't you, from both? Like the Enter Shikari world can benefit for you being in War of the Worlds, and then doing War of the Worlds will bring you so much more experience, skills. You'll evolve as a human, as a person, and then you'll probably
Mm.
have a new confidence and new ideas that you haven't even thought about to bring to a show of Enter Shikari. So the two can just be perfectly matched.
Yeah, I think it's also really good to do something that isn't really in my control. Like being the songwriter and the producer of Shikari, it's all like I'm like the dictator,
Yeah.
really. Whereas this is like I'm now under someone else's wing. I've got to, be at someone else's beck and call. So I think that's going to be like just a really interesting and just like good thing for me to do.
Is that going to be tough though? Because I think, like you, I'm quite what's the word? I'm very proud of my podcast, like you probably are with Enshikari, and I want to make sure that I kind of have full ownership of it. So I've had really kind people when I've been struggling with stuff saying, I can edit an episode for you. And I'm like, nope, nope. Like, even if I'm in hospital, I will take my laptop and I'll do an edit myself because I can't let go. I'm too
Yeah.
precious. And I'm wondering when you're then out of that with not the bubble of Enter Shikari, and you've got someone saying to you, this is how it needs to be, and no, you can't do it like that, and actually we want you to do it this way, that's going to be quite a new experience for you.
Yeah. Yeah, on this scale, certainly.
Yeah.
I've done like the odd, featured on other people's music and stuff like that, but that always feels like something different. But yeah, this is quite a scale to be yeah under someone and their vision, you know. Um, yeah, I don't know how. The only thing I hope doesn't happen is that I like lose zest because for me it's like it's being at the helm, it's directing something that is so exciting. You know, having that creative freedom to change a visual on our show at the last minute or to write a new song and or to remix something or you know, not having that, I hope it like I don't sort of start to feel a bit sort of stale or used or something.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I'm sure that I'm just like overthinking it. I'm sure it's going to be like super fun and
I
interesting.
think I can't speak for Jeff, but from where we kind of discussed on the interview, he's not just hired you because you're the singer of Enter Shikari. He knows you're a good performer. He knows you're creative. I'm sure he's read your book. I'm sure he knows that your music production is absolutely incredible. So I'm sure he knows that you can bring a wealth of knowledge. And I just know by the character he is when I've spoken to him that he would be open to ideas. And I think during
Mm,
rehearsals, I mean, Charlie Simpson's in it now, isn't he, as well?
mm.
He's brought in people from a whole mixed bag, and I really do think he'll look for your strengths and kind of not be too headstrong and be like, "Do you know what, Rail? Let's try that. Let's give that a go." And I think as
Yeah,
long as you're confident enough and you feel, you've got a voice, I think it could work perfectly.
yeah, yeah. He's like very easy to be with. You know, he's like easy to speak to. He's brilliant. I mean, he's already instilled a lot of confidence in me that certainly in within this that I didn't have. So I think he's, and also if you look back at the casting that he's done before, um, what's his name? The guy from Kaiser Chiefs.
I know you're
Um,
not the singer. Yeah,
yeah,
I forgot his
yeah.
name.
He did my
Is it Ricky something?
yes, Ricky Wilson.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, he was the artilleryman. Not before me,
A couple of
a few
tours.
before me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he'd never done acting or anything like that before, and Jeff was saying that he was had a similar sort of immediate reaction, which was just like, "Oh God, I'm not sure about this." And you know, I think it's just testament to Jeff and his team that they can like bring people in from all these different worlds and instill the confidence and instill the skill that they need to achieve these roles. So it's yeah, I think they're going to be brilliant to work with.
There's a couple of topics before I say goodbye that I wanted to discuss. Some people will tune in today and will crucify me if I don't ask you how it's going with Enter Shikari. So you're telling me you're going to Japan. It's going to be crazy. But are we at the point that we can discuss that you're in the studio, you're recording new ideas, there's new music on the way, or is it too early days right now?
It's a little bit early days, but we are in the studio. I literally just spent 2 weeks over in Worcestershire. Wonderful studio that we've been to a few times. Um, we don't really know what's coming, or like we haven't like decided on the format yet. I think one thing we definitely want is something the release to be a bit more interesting. It's a bit
Yeah.
more playful. I think because the A Kiss for the World, the last album was it was so all about like you know get we got that number one position finally, and you know to be chart eligible, you have to like be quite strict in how you release something, whereas we want to like do things a bit more interesting way. So we're not going for a chart position or anything like
No.
that. We're gonna do something like way more interesting with this one, which I think is going to be quite freeing. Um,
That surely feels more authentic as well, because that's what you guys are all about. You'll still go and play smaller shows. You're all about promoting venues and making sure that, Club 85 is talked about and places and the grassroots. You're surely wanting to still do the things you want to do that mean so much that have built you to where you've become today. You don't just want to be like, now we've got no a number one, we want two number ones and we want to
yeah,
get
yeah,
triple
yeah.
platinum. It's not about that for you, and it never has been, has it?
No, I mean it's a slippery slope as well. Like for your own like mental health, like you achieve some like milestone of success. And it's funny, isn't it? It's just like a human trait to be like, okay, what's next? You know, the sort
Yeah.
of hedonic treadmill, like push yourself to the next thing, keep you've got to get the next thing, more success, more success. And it does, and it
You're
never
inside my
stops.
head now because I had one of my early episodes, I had Anthony Hopkins, which was like one of my biggest achievements ever. Like, I'm a
Awesome.
huge fan of his work, and he's never done another podcast. So I was like, I can't believe I've got this opportunity.
Wow.
I released it. I was so proud. But then all I had on social media was like, so when are you getting Robert De Niro? I'm like, do you realize this is a once in a lifetime huge moment
Yeah,
for me?
yeah.
And genuinely, people's expectations then, I was like, next week I've got Feeder. And they're like, oh, I thought you'd had Leonardo DiCaprio now. I'm like, so I can see how it is for you. Everyone is going to
Yeah,
be like, are you now going to go and try and get that Grammy? Are you going to try and get, another
yeah.
number one album?
No, it's a slippery slope, I think, and it never ends. I think we've always been fairly content with like just writing music and using the music to connect with people.
Yeah,
And that's literally it. That's my job description. Um, and that's for me to be able to continue just doing that is the success. That's a much more purer, safer, healthier form of success, I think, than chasing the next accolade. Um, but yeah, so yeah, we are in the studio. We've got some stuff we're starting to get really excited about. We've just got one track that's being mixed at the moment that we're yeah, hopefully going to bring out. I can't say when, but this year. I
yeah.
can't say when because I don't know yet. But like, we're going to have new music this year. Yeah.
Is it a slightly weird feeling because you're going on tour, but obviously not with Enter Shikari,
Mm.
during the summer and spring, and it isn't the year that the Slam Dunk or 2000 Trees or Download. It's like a year where you've not got a year off because you're still, you're still working really hard. You're only in the studio right now as we're speaking, but it isn't the typical summer for Enter Shikari.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be much more relaxed, much
Yeah,
more at home. Like we've got a few festivals here and there. I mean, we've got Reading and Leeds, which is still going to be
of
a
course, yeah.
huge one to plan. But yeah, apart from that, it's the
It does
focus
seem
is going to be
quiet for
much more.
you, it does
Yeah,
seem, even with Reading and Leeds, it still doesn't seem like a typical summer where I'm like, oh, Shikari
yeah,
doing here.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely, and I think that was it was planned to be like that really because this first 6 months is just going to be intense. So yeah, we need some time to finish off all the tracks that we've got on the go.
So with the tracks you've got, Tour in Japan, War of the Worlds, you then obviously announced that you are going to be doing the London Marathon.
Yeah.
So if you didn't need anything else to stress yourself about or, take up time or constant training, and
Yeah.
I love that you're documenting it on Instagram and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've just recently completed was it the half marathon in Crystal Palace?
Yeah, did Crystal Palace,
Yeah.
did Castington Water as well the other week in Derbyshire. That was beautiful. Um, yeah, I'm trying to get as many like half marathons under my belt as possible, really, just to keep training them long distances because I've never done anywhere near a marathon. So yeah, I've got to take it fairly seriously, otherwise I won't get round the bloody thing.
It's incredible though, because I've seen in the comments on Instagram how many people you're inspiring because you were never like, oh, I'm a runner, I'm a big fitness freak, I'm always doing pictures in the gym. You were like, I found this running. My dad told me how important it was for his headspace and his,
Mm.
mental health. And I think you've even said it's like one of the best forms of therapy. You've done counseling, you've done all different types of therapy, but you found that this is the one for you. You can go out there and it's completely free. You can do it whenever you want. You go out and discover new places, but how important it's been for your own headspace and your own mental health.
Yeah, I think it's grown in importance, I
Yeah.
suppose, for me over the years. Like I was never like really a sporty kid. Yeah, I played football, like football. But when I discovered music, I sort of like, okay, that just took
It's one
over.
or the other, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think running was something that I sort of kept up, from teens onwards, but I only just like, 3K round the park and back. And it's only in the last sort of or 5 years really that I've upped the distance. And it's just been, yeah, really, really fascinating. And it's something that like that really emboldens you.
Yeah.
I think, life. life's difficult. Life's difficult for everyone. There's all issues we go through and adversity and hoops we have to jump through and people we have to care for. And, it's busy, it's frantic, it's difficult. And running is like one space where you can just like in, do just slow increments and just get better. And it's amazing. Like, the first time I did a half marathon, which wasn't so long ago, really, um, the feeling, the feeling like, oh my God, I have just propelled my meat sack of a body for
Meat
20,
sack.
for 21 kilometers.
Yeah.
Like that's just even a year ago, that would have been utterly insane to me to even like consider that that's a possibility. So it's just amazing that it really gives you a sense of like self-belief and strength. And I think that's something that's quite important when in a lot of realms of our life we don't get a say, or things are out of our control, or things are just difficult. So it's nice just to embolden yourself, I think. And that's not to even mention how good it is for the headspace. It
Yeah.
really cleans out the cobwebs, and you can think in a way that you can't really think if you're just at a desk, or sat lying in bed and wide awake at night. So it's great for so many reasons, and also just for longevity as well. Physical health. Like it now that I've got a dog, like I'm out of the house a lot more, but I could be one who'd be on tour, and I'd be going from the tour bus to the venue, and okay, yeah, our shows are quite energetic, so I get a bit of exercise there. But other than that, I wouldn't. And when you're in your 30s, you're like, actually, I plan on living a long time.
Yeah.
Like I've got to have a thing, a thing that I do that raises my heart rate and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, it's ticked so many boxes for me.
Did you go into signing up for the London Marathon knowing that it's a massive challenge, isn't it? It's a huge step up from doing your half marathons. Did you kind of sign up to then give yourself something to work towards? As like, if I
Mm.
don't, I could easily just fizzle out and just stick to what I know. Is this to challenge yourself?
Yeah, it's a classic thing. It's like giving yourself responsibility, because
Yeah.
if I didn't have even these half marathons that I book are like ways of keeping me like on my toes, and keep, because I would just go back down to 5Ks. I'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, that's fine. I've
That'll
got
do.
nothing to train for. What's the
Yeah.
point in
Yeah.
spending 2 hours putting one foot in front of the other? Um, so
What an advert for running.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, so it's just something that's uh become more and more important. I think just having like things that you're training for, even just like 10Ks, 5Ks, whatever it is, like it gives you a sense of like, oh, I've got, especially when you're raising money, you're like,
Yeah.
oh Christ, okay, I have to do this now. So just that extra propulsion. I can be very lazy. I can be very, as I said before, I'm quite comfortable being in my little comfort zone, my comfort blanket, like, so sometimes I know I've got to like, where I fail in willpower, I've got to make sure that I'm organized. Um, so I've got those things to work towards.
And then obviously with anyone that wants to support you, I've seen that you've got a link on your Instagram so people can go on and donate, and all the money's going to the Mental Health Foundation, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So I've got a Just Giving page, and yeah, Mental Health Foundation. We've worked with them for a while. We've done like shows and
Yeah.
things, and they've been awesome, like wonderful people. And they've, not to sort of be cringy or cliche, but they are like the closest thing to saints in this world. Not just the doctors and nurses and everyone that works in the NHS, but like where the NHS has been so underfunded and disrespected by our consecutive governments, it's the charities that have had to come in to fill these gaping holes in our mental health services. And so yeah, everyone that works in this realm deserves all the support we can give. So it was an absolute honor. I actually got sent my running top, the Mental
Oh,
Health
nice.
Foundation,
So it's all
beautiful, like,
official. Yeah.
yeah, green and purple top, and I was just like, oh, I felt like, yes, so I don't
It's
know,
very
so
real now,
motivated.
isn't it?
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you get
yeah,
sent that and you see
absolutely,
people donating, you're
it's
like,
happening.
okay, I can't now put
Yeah,
this on
yeah,
hold.
yeah. But yeah, no, so the yeah, the donating is it just giving, and I'm doing this thing as well where like I'm not on Cameo or any of those
No.
things. So I figured this is like a good reason for me to do that. So anyone that's ever wanted a personalized video, whether it's wishing someone a happy birthday or I get lots of wedding day requests and stuff, which always blows my mind that people um want to hear from us on their wedding day. But yeah, all that kind of stuff I'm doing, like it's just like a £40
Yeah.
donation, and then just DM me on Instagram, and yeah, I'll do whatever video, whatever shit you want me to chat, I'll do it. Yeah.
I've already decided, I was going to tell you off air, but what I'm going to do is for the month of April, I have a podcast Patreon. It doesn't earn a lot of money, but for the whole of April, anything that comes in that normally hosts the podcast allows me to travel the country to do interviews and stuff. The whole of April, I'm going to donate to you for this run.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
mate. Wow. Well,
So
thank you.
it's
Thank
just
you
my way
so
of
much.
saying thank you for
That's sick.
obviously your time and coming on the podcast a couple of times. And it's not
Oh
going to
no,
make a
it's
massive difference,
always
but
my
it all
pleasure.
helps, doesn't it? So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've set quite a ambitious target, which is becoming scarier by the day. But
I love the
yeah, I haven't
wedding
actually.
idea though. I love that. Like people always
Mm,
want to shout out or people's
yeah,
birthdays. Like people do go crazy for that.
yeah. If I need to really get my skates on, then I might start baking.
Bake off.
I was
Everyone loves a
thinking,
bake off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I could like live stream the baking, and then like, yeah, do a sort of donation thing or a raffle or whatever, and then send the cakes. I suppose it would have to be UK based for the cakes to
Yeah.
survive the post. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I got all sorts of ideas,
Tattoo
but yeah.
designs, people love that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Any of
Go
that business?
crazy. Or old merch.
Yeah, yeah. God,
And to
yeah. There's all
finish,
sorts of avenues.
you've mentioned on the interview today, and I've seen how you've been showcasing, but like Florence, who you met at Reading and Leeds a couple of years ago, you've now got a dog yourself, and
Yeah,
isn't it life changing?
yeah. Yes, yeah. It was a right sort of boot up the arse. Really. It's been very interesting. But she's Fen here. The I think she's a lab
Yeah,
staffy cross,
she is
little
beautiful.
snuggled up. But yeah, no, she's been awesome. She's been really really fun and interesting training her and everything. And because we got her when she was like just turned 4. And she was a breeding dog, and she's got a few like cuts and things, and one of
Oh,
her ears sort of hangs off, and so I think she's had a bit of a crappy life, but she's a wonderful dog, like surprisingly, uh,
just fitted in
well-rounded.
like you've always had her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Apart from the times that she'll chase a cat or a fox, or yeah, apart from all of that business, she's been
She looks
great.
nice
Yeah,
and chilled though. She just looks, she's had a tough
yeah.
life, but now she's like, yeah, I'm looked
Oh no,
after. I'm got a
she
lot of love.
still causes mayhem when she wants to.
The last thing I want to do, I don't know if you remember this from the first time you came on, but on every episode of Mark and Me, and I've done over 400 episodes now, but I'd never change the outro. And I put you on the spot again today, Rao. I'd love you to pick a piece of music or a song that means a lot to you. That basically, when our interview's all edited and it's ready for the world to listen to, the final piece of music that plays after we've spoken is a choice by the guest. So you can have whatever song you want. I am putting
Wow.
you on the spot, but
Did I bet I chose something by myself last time, didn't I?
you didn't. There's only
Egotistical
two.
bastard
No,
that
there's
is.
two people. The used Bert picked his own song, and who did I have on the other day? Bayside, and that's in 8 years. Two people have only picked their own songs, and you can't be that person. You're not that egotistical.
All right. Well, I've got my Spotify out. Well, how do you pick one song? Goodness me.
Go with the one that came to
Um,
your heart and your head when I asked the question. It might not be on your Spotify. What's a song that it doesn't have to be your funeral song because that's depressing end, but the song that is you. That there's something about it that means a lot to you.
um, I can't remember whether it was in this. I've done a few interviews before this. Did I say in this interview say that the War of the Worlds music is like up there with the Beatles, or was that
Yeah,
another interview?
yeah,
It
you just
was
said
it.
it at
Okay.
the start, so that's how
Yeah, yeah,
high
yeah.
in high
Okay.
regards you put it. Yeah,
So I've got the Beatles on my mind. So, um, but then Christ, that's where do you
Where do you
how do
start?
you pick a Beatles track? Um, what about there's a really quaint. I can't remember which. It might be Rubber Soul. I can't remember which album it's off. Two of Us. Like it's such a like quaint, lovely, heartwarming track. Lovely melodies, lovely harmonies. Um, and it always takes me back to listening to them as a kid. Like they were definitely the first band that like a proper just was absolutely in love with. Just listening to. I remember like I had my little tape player Walkman, and I'd sneak
Now
it into
people are
the
listening
bedroom.
saying, who are these guys?
Yeah.
What's a Walkman?
Yeah. Yeah, Christ, going back a long way. But I used to sneak it under my pillow when I was like, I must have been about 7, and I'd be there listening to like Sergeant Pepper's or something. When I was supposed to be going to sleep. Um, yeah, that's what
That's a
I'll choose.
perfect choice, and it's kind of like a nice 360 moment because we started today talking about War of the Worlds and how you put it
Yeah.
in regards to the Beatles, which is to put it in the same sentence is the biggest compliment ever. And I know how much the Beatles mean to you. So, and it's not an obvious choice. You didn't go with, Yesterday or Hey
No,
Jude.
no,
You went with something a bit different.
much more understated, isn't it, that track? But yeah.
Amazing. I'm so grateful for your time today. It's flown by. I can't believe we've nearly done an hour, but as
Oh
always, I'm
yeah,
I'm
blimey.
so grateful for your time and coming on the podcast again. It means a lot, and I've already spoke to Jeff. I'm going to come to the Birmingham show and come and say hello to you
Awesome.
all, either before
Hell
or
yeah.
after. Probably not before because you'd all be nervous and trying to get yourself in the right headspace. But afterwards, I'll come and say hello, and I can't wait to see the production. And yeah, it's going to be epic, dude.
Wicked, man. Well, thank you very much for having me.
It
Great
is
speaking with you
an
again.
absolute pleasure. And what I'll do is I'll put on my link when the podcast goes out on all the socials and also on the podcast notes on Spotify and everything, the direct link so people can go on and sponsor you.
Oh, amazing. Thank
And
you.
hopefully, if anyone's getting married or having a baby or
Yeah.
wants your, I don't know, autograph on them as a
Life
tattoo.
advice.
Yes,
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah.
want. Yeah.
Autographs, but
Counseling
terrible
with Rou.
drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and
Oh my
I'll,
God, one of them the other day, I did a guided meditation for someone who
what was this
paid a
a request?
considerable amount. Yeah, yeah. They were like, I wanted, it's not a personalized video, so to speak, but would you be able to just do like a meditation? So, yeah, just did them a little, little
And
guided meditation.
I'll make sure that I'll DM you, but I'll in April I'll make that donation and you'll see it on your page. So hopefully it'll give a bit of a little bump for you as well. So it's an honor to do that for you.
Legend, man. Thank you so much.
And Florence wants to say goodbye because she hasn't seen you since wedding and needs
Oh, so
17
cute.
now. 17.
17?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
What,
We did
human years?
17 in human years, and
Wow.
she gets offended because we were shopping the other day, me and my wife, and someone said, "Oh, look at your really old little dog." And we're like, "She's 17, you know what I mean? Like, give her a
Those,
break."
yeah, those dogs like look awesome when they're old though. They look like
Yeah,
just like little wise, gray-haired little things.
she
Great.
knows it. But yeah, it's been
Mm.
so much fun today, and thank you. I'll let you go and relax and learn lines and get yourself
Yeah.
ready for
Get
whatever
running.
people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll see you definitely in Birmingham in a couple of months' time.
Nice one, brother.
Cheers,
Lovely to
Ralph.
speak to you. Cheers,
Take
mate.
care.